This video was requested by one of my patrons over at patreon.com/coacharagon. So in this game, we have the best Camille in China, Liu Bai, versus one of the best Fioras in China, JJ King. So a common strategy for Fioras to use is cheesing level 1, whether it's denying you XP from the first 3 melee minions, or straight up all-inning you. That's what JJ King is going to try to do now. Let's see how Liu Bai deals with it. So I really like this clip because it showcases a lot of fundamentals to do with all-ins early and what you can test to see if you win or lose them so you can handle them, right? So there are a lot of variables you can test in 1v1s to do with these all-ins. These include who wins with or without bone plating. Notice how both top laners have bone plating. This makes each champion's all-in significantly stronger because bone plating is the strongest level 1 early rune, right? A minor rune. So you can also test who wins with D-Blade versus D-Shield. This is really important because D-Blade actually gives you a better all-in than D-Shield if you strictly fight each other to the death, because AD plus HP is better than just HP and regen from the Doran Shield. Doran Shield provides more sustain in the long run. You can also test who wins in casters, right? Because it's really important to note that these casters have 24 AD each. What does that mean? Well, if 3 of them are hitting you, that's like another champion. Essentially, the Fiora here is 2-on-1, right? Camille plus another champion. What else you can test? Well, you can also test who wins with or without Ignite, right? So it's really important to know that Ignite can swing all-ins, especially if you Ignite early to cut healing versus a healing-based champion, right? Thinking like stuff like the Volibear early. But there's loads of stuff you can isolate and then test to see if you win all-in early. Now, why is this important? The reason it's so important is because if you develop a detailed understanding of who wins all-ins at level 1 in every matchup, you can commit to these fights and get free leads consistently in fights enemies might not know the outcomes to, right? So if we look at this example specifically, if the Camille, most Camille's think they have a terrible level 1, right? Or worse level 1 than Fiora, so their default response, without actually knowing who wins, might be to just try and run past towards the tower and get to safety as soon as possible, right? Which means they get chunked, and that can snowball into a lead for the Fiora. But because Liu Bai knows he wins in his caster minions with D-Shield, Ignite, and a potion and bone plating, that way he doesn't need to take this losing trade by default, right? Another example is the Renekton versus Volibear matchup. I'm a Renekton main, right? And I know that in the Volibear matchup, I can win all in with Ignite, with D-Blade, as long as I hit 2 Qs, and one of them is empowered if Volibear has either Grasp or PTA. If he has Conqueror, I lose. So let me show you this. The power, before I move on, the power of this is that most Volibears think they win level 1. So I often kill Volibears level 1 because they commit to the all-in when I know I win because I've tested it before, right? So let's take a look. And the reason that most Volibears think they win is because Renekton's famous level 1 is famously bad, similar to Camille's. So I thought this was a pretty good example. This is the best Renekton in China, committing to an all-in early with Conqueror into a Volibear. So Q, W, E start, it doesn't matter what the Volibear has. The Volibear loses. Assuming that Renekton pots early and uses his keeps his Conqueror stacks up. If the Conqueror stacks fall off, he loses. See, you commit to it, Volibear thinks he wins. He doesn't because one of the Qs was empowered. This is an example of something I tested in customs to find out myself as well. I don't have an example of myself doing it. I just found one on his channel. It's the exact same thing. So that's how you approach level 1s and how you get really good at them to get free leads as consistently as possible. So let's carry on and see how he approaches getting level 2. Okay, this was really, really important because most people would not do what he's doing here. So something I'll see when I'm coaching is I'll see people using their abilities they need to trade with just before they hit the next level, which means they no longer have their cooldowns to trade when they have the level advantage. So Camille here wants to trade around a passive cooldown on a shield, right? But it comes up earlier than her hitting level 2. So what does she do? Nothing. right? She holds it until she can take an even better trade with it at level 2, rather than a simple grasp auto at level 1. So let me show you. Her shield is about to come up in 2 seconds, watch it. And usually what Camille's want to do is trade around the shield and passive proc, but she doesn't do it level 1, she waits till level 2 so she can get an even better trade. She's syncing up her cooldowns with her level ups. So here, she could look for a passive auto trade now, but she's voluntarily choosing not to trade. She could look for it right now, an auto grasp trade, shield bash. But no, rather get level 2 first, then take an even better trade, level 2. So now I want you to watch this all in at level 2, and see, I want you to figure out why the Camille won. So, the Camille dropped to 6 HP, what happened? Well, let's talk about my favorite thing to talk about, cookies. Okay, a very controversial rune, but it's also a really misunderstood rune in general. So, a really common misconception is that cookies are a tool simply for healing in lane or mana, right? But it's really important that you don't see cookies this way. Cookies heal a percentage of your missing HP. So, how you should, like over time, right? So, how you should actually view cookies is an all-in tool, right? In a similar way to a Mundo ultimate. When you're low and you're committing to an all-in, you pop a cookie, and that potentially could keep you alive, giving you an extra 100 HP or whatever, right? In an all-in. So this also synergizes really well with champion kits that thrive on being low HP, because it keeps them alive on low HP for longer, right? So for example, Volibear heals based on his missing HP. Tahm Kench Q heals based on his missing HP. Stuff like this. So let me show you a clip of a top laner called Watley. He's the best Tahm Kench in Europe, probably the world. And here he uses cookies on low HP like a Mundo ultimate to win a 1v1. So let's look at the HP he drops to. 19. And then he pops cookies.
Another biscuit, dude. I got another biscuit coming in. Another biscuit.
Buys him enough time to get a level up and then win 1v1. Look how much he healed. Yes, it's on top of shield, just it's on top of Qs, but lots of champions kits synergize with being low HP top lane, because a lot of them are drain tanks and stuff like this. So it's a very powerful tool to understand how to use. So let's continue taking a look at the rest of the micro and the 1v1. Ignite early to cut the healing. What happens here? Well, what Fiora tried to do here was an auto flash. You can famously auto from this side, flash down here, and the flash will actually come from the other direction, which helps you proc the vitals. Unfortunately, the Fiora actually messes it up, right? So it actually comes down to execution error. This would kill. What else does that flash accomplish? Well, what Fiora tried to do here was flash auto for the vital, whilst also flashing into the bush to drop aggro from the Camille. Ideally, you cancel a Camille auto attack by flashing into the bush, right? This is really important to understand how to use bushes to constantly cancel auto attacks from the enemy melee champions and the range champions. But Camille also has the instant muscle memory to ward a bush she's fighting in. This is really important, and something I have to teach people pretty often is if you're 1v1ing early all-ins, ward the bush you're fighting in so that they can't cancel your auto attacks, because fights can come down to single auto attacks like this one. What does she do? She uses the move speed from Camille Q, Auto Q, to kite out the Fiora to die from Ignite, and minions. Something that's really important, and consistently has been happening this entire fight, is notice how always the Camille has kited downwards here. Why is that the case? Well, if she's here, Fiora can never drop aggro using these bushes from the minions. So Fiora's constantly 1v2, right, against these minions. She kites downwards constantly so that these casters are always attacking. The entire 1v1, Camille has had to play around casters better and trust that the Fiora disrespects them. Thanks for watching, guys. These are all my socials. I coach over on my Discord, which you can find the link in the description. I also stream every now and then. I try to stream pretty regularly, but recently haven't been able to. There's my Twitter. And also, finally, thank you so much for my patrons over on patreon.com. All of you are absolutely amazing.